Solanin is, at its core, a story about ordinary people coming to terms with the fact that they're ordinary. This manga was written and illustrated by the legendary Inio Asano, the man behind acclaimed titles like Oyasumi Punpun, A Girl on the Shore and Dead Dead Demon's Destruction, at a time of stress and uncertainty in his life. At this point, being in his early 20s and only having published short stories, he was not living off of his art, and most of his friends from college were entering the workforce. As passionate as he was probably full of doubt about his future and his place in society. There was one thing he didn't doubt though, and it was his distaste for society's mold and the idea of adulthood. To this day, Asano still has blonde-dyed hairs, which is, in Japan, mostly done by delinquents trying to distance themselves from the formality of Japan's society. This distaste for the norm was first explored in chapter 1 and 4 of his What a Wonderful World manga, in which we follow Hotta, a 20-something ex-punk that has given up on his dream and lifestyle to become an upstanding member of society by starting to work at a desk job. After a couple of months, he cracks and decides to quit his job to follow his passion. He then meets an old friend of his that made it in the music industry, and that shatters his illusion of it with this amazing quote that I love: "When you hold your dreams in your hands, it's just reality," making Hato realize that happiness does not come with what you do with your life, but with how you decide to live it. I'm going on a tangent right now, but this concept can be found in a lot of Asano's works. He recently developed this idea of the successful yet unhappy man with Downfall, a manga about a very popular mangaka that is completely burnt out and, well, unsatisfied with his life. It's a good read that really contrasts with Solanin, so go try it out. Okay, let's actually get to what this video is about, Solanin. But before I get into the story, I just want to do a quick experiment. If you haven't read it before, of course, can you guess who the main character is out of everyone on screen right now? Because it's this girl, Meiko Inoue, and I'd be surprised if you got it right. What I'm trying to show with this is that the art style is coherent with the story's themes in Solanin. It's really a story about anybody in their 20s, so giving it the Yu-Gi-Oh design treatment will have been counterproductive. The characters are not super handsome or ugly, they just look like regular people that'd be lost in the crowd if it was any other manga. So the story opens up with Inoue Meiko, our main character, as she expresses her disdain for her current life. She works at a 9-to-5 office job with a creepy boss that keeps hitting on her. She isn't passionate at all either, she works there because she needs to support herself and Taneda, her boyfriend. Right now, the sky spread above me, so low, narrow and heavy. Remember this quote: the sky is often used to indicate the character's current mindset in this story. When she gets home, she makes the decision to quit her boring job, this idea being agreed on by her half-asleep boyfriend. She then wakes up the next day and looks up only to be amazed by how clear the sky seems to be. It doesn't take long at all for her newfound freedom to turn into boredom though, and both Taneda and her start getting anxious about what will happen next. Taneda is cruising along in life and only has a part-time job to have time to play with his band, so they can't live off of that revenue. This video isn't aiming to be a summary of the story, so I'll stop there and let you discover the rest by yourself. What I really want to discuss is the main themes being explored here and how the characters deal with them. There's a dream scene in the manga that perfectly sums up everything that it's about. In this scene, Taneda has been wandering around aimlessly in a forest for years. He doesn't really know why he's in there or when he got there. All he knows is that there is no exit and that there's something on his back that keeps getting heavier and heavier, making it exponentially harder to move forward as time passes. He then encounters an old guy that asks him to choose between two guitar necks. The first one representing a golden, ideal future, and the other one the acceptance of a normal, stable, silver life. Taneda then wakes up and his response is foreshadowing for what will happen in the near future, so I won't discuss this part right now. This whole scene is not cryptic at all, it's obviously just Taneda's own view of his current headspace. The forest is both Tokyo and his life in general. He's been aimlessly wandering around since he graduated. The little bunny on his back is the keychain he bought for Meiko a while back, and this bunny will often be used to represent either Meiko for him or him for Meiko. The ever-growing weight he's feeling is guilt for financially relying on her and being a burden in general. Finally, this story's main theme and the most crucial part, the guitar necks represent the choice that most people need to make after graduation in their early 20s. Will you chase after your dreams, or will you face reality and choose a more traditional path that will ensure financial security? Everyone in Solanin has their own way of dealing with this dilemma, and I'm 100% sure that you'll find yourself in at least one of them. Meiko isn't directly impacted by the question because she isn't really passionate about anything. She did follow the safe way by getting an office job, but it wasn't really bittersweet. She just didn't really know what else to do. As she states it herself, she's not the kind of person that can stick to anything for too long. She's just very ordinary. A lot of people don't have a burning passion for anything, they just kind of follow along in life and see how things go. In this story, her one current goal is to be able to survive in Tokyo because she doesn't want to go back home. It'd be like admitting defeat. Kato is currently attending his 6th year of university. He's really passionate about playing the bass and is pretty much stalling. He hasn't found his answer yet, so he's trying to buy time by not graduating. This mindset best described by his girlfriend. He's just a normal guy. He knows he's in for a long, boring life. Talking about his girlfriend, she's the complete opposite. She's been working in a clothing shop ever since graduating, and she seems to be the only one that has her shit together. She doesn't have crazy ambitions, but unlike Meiko, she has completely accepted the boring life awaiting them. Billy, like Kato and Taneda, is very passionate about music and dreams of living off of it, but he's too scared of the uncertainty that comes with it, so he has accepted to take over his dad's shop and live a simple life. Living my lot in life. Dreams. Money. Unlike my manly sounding nickname, like a cowardly sissy, I will just keep racking up more and more irritation with myself for not having the courage to break out of the daily grind. Well, maybe I can live with that after all, or so I thought. Ayukawa has decided to completely invest herself into music no matter what happens. And finally, Taneda is a bit of them all. He has a foot in both worlds by working part-time, but he's scared of choosing one and sticking with it. He's someone that is terrified about the idea of taking anything seriously at all. When he has serious conversations, he tries to get out of them by joking around. He's scared of being genuine because of his lack of self-confidence. Just a little side note that I just noticed while recording this, there are no adults that shows the golden ideal life. In the whole manga, everyone has played it safe, so maybe that's something Asano wanted to say, like, you're not gonna be successful, you know? I don't know, just a quick thought. At the end of the first volume, a very impactful event happens that divides the story into a before and after. What I now want to discuss is this after, because some characters radically change their stance on the question following it, but to do that, I obviously have to spoil what happens, so if you haven't read Solanin yet, this is when you should stop watching this video. So right after calling Meiko to tell her that he begged his boss to take him back and that he'll work full time to support both of them from now on, Taneda gets into an accident and dies. To this day, nobody knows if Taneda killed himself or if it actually was an accident. In the afterword of Solanin's re-edition, Asano explains that, back when I was writing it, I tried not to think too much about the reasons behind Taneda's actions, or more accurately, I didn't want to think about the reasons. He himself is unsure of what happened there. Earlier in the same text, he explains that when he was starting out, he often made bets with the divine like, if I can cross the crosswalk before the signal starts blinking, I'll sell 100,000 copies. He then says that that may be what Taneda was doing there, something like, if I can make it before the light changes, I'm sure everything will be fine. I'm gonna sound like a complete moron for disagreeing with the author himself, but I have a completely different interpretation of the scene. In this moment, Taneda was obviously not collected enough to think about this kind of bet. What I think happened is that during his phone call with Meiko, he tried his hardest to suppress his emotions. The path he was about to follow was exactly what he looked down upon his whole life. But whatever, that's how life goes. Whatever. The exact whatever that he and Meiko hated so much at the start of the story. When he hangs up and gets a moment alone, his thoughts start racing though. He then gets overwhelmed by despair and sadness, starts crying and hits the gas in an attempt to evacuate this crushing feeling. I don't think he purposely tried to kill himself, but he did let himself loose, fully knowing what could happen. He kinda half killed himself in a way. It's fine if I get hit by a car, and if I don't, that's fine too. That's how I see it. Before this point, Taneda was shown multiple times to be depressed and suicidal. It's nothing new. For example, while he was arguing with Meiko about the future, he said this: "What are we gonna do? Are you gonna die with me?" Sorry, I was just kidding. To me, the accident was inevitable. Whether it happened or not, at this point of the story, Taneda was already dead anyway. He was not the kind of guy that could have been satisfied with the ordinary. Giving up on his dream meant giving up on life, so from a narrative point of view, this death had to happen.
次で最後の曲で、 つまり僕らにとって学生最後の曲で今日のために新しく作りました。とりあえず聴いてください。つーか聴けっつってんだろ。超不謹慎なこと言っていいっすか。飛行機がビルに突っ込んだりどっかで戦争が始まったりした時嫌な気分なのにどうかちょっとワクワクしてるすっげえな自分がいるんだ。だって俺らの未来には全然希望の光が見えてこなくて劇的な変化も少なくて退屈な毎日が続くんだ。たとえ緩い幸せがだーっと続いたとしてもそれで満たされた風な格好だけの大人になんかなんねえと。皆さんDJ 卒業おめでとう。でも俺はもう少し時間をください。何か答えが見つかるまでは。
And the sky is finally clear and blue. Taneda's death was the kick in the ass that most of the characters needed. Not everyone will become what they wanted to be. Reality is not that kind. Following this incident, most characters gain a lot of maturity and start moving forward in life. Most notably Kato, that finally takes his first step into the adult world by starting job hunting, and of course, Meiko. A couple of weeks after Taneda's death, his dad comes by to take back his stuff, and at the very end he tells Meiko, "I think it might be your job on this world, to be the one who proves he ever existed." So she gets determined to do just that by asking Billy and Kato to let her join the band. They end up having an opportunity to perform live and play Solanin, the song Taneda wrote right before dying, a song that no one will have ever heard otherwise. I just want to do a little side note by talking about Solanin, the song itself, for a bit. When I first read the manga, as impactful as the lyrics were, it didn't leave much of an impression on me since I could only imagine what it sounded like, but I then found out that Solanin had a live action adaptation and that Asian Kung Fu Generation composed the song for it. I listened to it and somehow it was exactly what I wanted it to be. To this day, it's my favorite adaptation of a fictional song. Not only does it sound amazing on its own, but I feel like Ejikan was the perfect band for it. I'm sure most of you know who they are. They did opening songs for Naruto, Erased, Bleach, and a lot of very well-known anime. But when you listen to their albums, the themes often resonate with Solanin's. A good example would be this verse from a song called Love Song from the New Century.
朝方のニュースでビルに飛行機が突っ込んで目を伏せるキャスター、そんな日もあった。愛と正義を武器に僕らは奪い合って世界は続く。何もなかったように変わりない日々をひたすら消費縫いつなぐ僕らのアイデア。
That's almost exactly the same idea as Taneda's rant during his last show. It also may be a total coincidence, but I feel like Asano may have taken inspirations from the band itself for Solanin. Taneda kinda looks like Goto, the singer, and during an interview the band explained that they first got together as classmates at university. There was a music club that people interested in bands and rock music were a part of, and we all met there and decided to start a band. Then again, both of those are very general and this could not mean anything, so take it with a grain of salt, but I think it'd be pretty cool. Finally, in the epilogue, Meiko brings up the "there's a demon lurking in Tokyo" phrase that she first mentioned in chapter 1. We didn't have any weapons at hand, yet we tried to battle an invisible demon. What on earth were we trying to fight back then anyway? And I suppose we ended up losing in the end. No doubt I'm cut out more to protect people than to be battling demons. And here I am, still alive with fleeting expectations, in this dreamlike yet mundane everyday life. To me, this quote is Asano's answer to Solanin's themes. They spent a lot of time fighting this vague idea of adulthood, trying their hardest to reject the mundanity of life, but in the end, you either grow up, lose this battle and gain maturity, or stagnate your whole life. What matters is not where you live, but how you live. Solanin is a story about normal people accepting that they're normal, and that's okay. I just quickly want to apologize for my voice. It's very bad and weird in this video. but the thing is I'm very sick right now and my final exams are approaching, so if I don't record today I won't have time at all to record until the beginning of June. So I really have no choice. I want to put this video out because I've been working on it for a long time. And yeah, that's it. I just wanna apologize for the lack of enthusiasm in my voice, but I'm tired, so yeah. Thank you for watching.